Sonnet 147 by William Shakespeare. My love is a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease, feeding on that which doth preserve the ill than certain sickly appetite to please my reason. The physician to my love, angry that his prescriptions are not kept, hath laughed me, and I desperate now approve desire is death, which physic did accept. Past cure I am, now reason is past care, and frantic mad with evermore unrest, my thoughts and my discourse, as madmen's are at random from the tooth vainly expressed. For I have sworn thee fair, and thought thee bright, who art as black as hell and dark as night. The word cleave is a rare homonym, a word with two meanings. It can be used to mean a separation, a splitting or dividing of two things, or of a thing in two. It can also mean the opposite, to cling, to adhere to something or someone. The meaning lies in the context, and too often the context only becomes clear further down the line after all is said and done. An errant thought, a mindless gesture, a longing unspoken, a lie sweet and delicate as sin, and what once bound two together begins to separate. Doubt is the great killer of love, an insidious seed that burrows deep within and takes root, expanding until it devours everything. Simple misunderstandings turn to stark betrayal. A moment's lapse in attention becomes the vast coldness of abandonment. A caress withheld in a moment of pride becomes an injurious wound. Lies are the sower of doubt, and hatred its great harvester. And who once cleaved to another in devotion is now sundered apart. For Lady Artemisia of Clan Cappadocian, who speaks the words of the dead with her breath, and for Amar of the Lamias, whose very blood sows pestilence and disease, there was once little chance of finding comfort in the arms of another, yet fate cares nothing for chance, and thus the maiden of bones and the daughter of venom entwined. But fate cares not. Having rescued Artemisia from the cells in Etria Caligula's palace, Amar slew Abraham, the seneschal who had ordered the murder of Angelico. Artemisia watched as the soul of her long-dead lover Tristan was summoned to kill her, and as Etria herself banished the wraith back to oblivion. Having proven Artemisia's innocence, the Cappadocian and her Lamia bodyguard then turned their attention to whoever was behind Abraham in the first place. Amar remembered what Dario, Artemisia's brother, had shown her, a compound filled with Giovanni soldiers, and at their head, Octavius Giovanni, a terrible knight known as the Cleaver of Souls. And it is in this compound that we return to our story as a carriage bearing the insignia of House Cardinali comes to a stop before the wide double doors. Two Giovanni family knights step forward and help Lady Artemisia Willoughby as she descends from her conveyance and escort her inside. Within the walls of the fort, you see Artemisia, several hundred Giovanni soldiers, most ghouls and a few Cainites, assembled here in the dead of night in their war gear. There are 7 other Cappadocians in the city, and besides Etria, none have nearly the number of swords assembled here. You can already smell the blood that will run and feed the streets from the coming massacre. Tell us, Artemisia, what's going through your mind as you are escorted to Octavius Giovanni's office.
Sadness. Anxiety. I, not long ago, watched my once lover dissolve before my eyes, ripped back to oblivion by chains. I mourn him, knowing all this time he's been locked in that damned reliquary by that bastard. There's a bitterness about me. My father dead, the only person I feel even remotely connected to still is the one sworn to protect me, Amar. And I'm anxious walking into this den of Giovanni. Those who are supposed to be of my family, but I fear it. But I'm holding my head up high and proud as I walk in, trying not to show that anxiety on my face, the fear in my eyes.
In the courtyard, you see warriors and knights, you see weapons, you see crates marked with a flaming symbol. And as you pass all of these and are guided into the interior of a small castle that sits within this compound, you find yourself again surrounded by more Giovanni knights, and you are taken upstairs. This is very much a military-style barrack. There is no home comforts. This is not a manor or a house. This is a place where soldiers live and prepare for war. Upstairs, you enter a vast hall with a large table on which are maps and books and other such items. At a desk nearby, you see, with a smile on his lips, the man they call Soul Cleaver, Octavius Giovanni. You know him by reputation. You know that he was here in Constantinople at the height of the Crusades. You know that he's traveled all over the Middle East and the Far East and everywhere. Wherever the Giovannis need fresh souls harvested or created, they send Octavius Giovanni. If you had not known that there was a plot against you and yours, his presence alone would have told you. As he gets up from behind his desk and comes around, his massive two-handed sword just leaning casually by, you idly wondered how many kindred Cainites rather have been decapitated and rendered unto final death by that parched blade. He comes around, he's massive, and the smell of the tomb just wafts off of him. You can clearly see several ghosts and wraiths held in chains in the room. You know that he is a master of the necromantic arts. A most dangerous Cainite indeed. And as he approaches you with a faint smile on his scarred lips, he says, I had not expected to welcome the Lady Artemisia Willoughby in my chambers. At least, not while still alive. A pleasant surprise. To what do I owe this distinct honor and pleasure?
I come here humbly. I seek protection from you and your men. As you know, I am alone in this world now.
What of your brother? He is still in the city as far as I understand it?
As far as I know,
Can
I
you
have
not
not
offer
seen
you?
him.
It is in such times that we see those for whom family actually means something, and those for whom it is just talk. I have never known a member of the Cardinelli family to be humble in any way, shape, or form. Why should I believe that your approach to me is such?
Are we not family? by our own right, Octavius.
Distant cousins, perhaps.
But family nonetheless.
And it often falls on our dearest family members to do the difficult things and tell us when we've done wrong and when things need to be rectified, and that is my role. However, I'm not without a heart, regardless of what my reputation might suggest. I am moved by your presence here, and I understand that for one such as yourself, one perhaps not as well versed in the arts of politics as you are, that you might be feeling a little isolated, alone, weak.
Very much so. What do I have now that my father has gone to oblivion, that my brother has fled? I seek now the only bonds I know.
Well, for one, you still have your head. And he reaches over and he takes his massive two-handed greatsword, and he slowly pulls it from the scabbard, the metal sliding on metal, making this ungodly noise that rips right through you, and he places the scabbard very reverently on his desk. And he comes and he stands right in front of you. He's about almost 2 feet taller than you. He is massive. And he puts the blade with the tip down into the ground, and even with that small gesture, it digs in and shatters some of the stone floor that's beneath you. Would you like to touch it?
Is this what you wish of me, cousin?
I simply thought that it might be good for you to know exactly what it is that your presence here is hoping to avoid.
Artemisia will bend down to her knees before him, and her head leans forward slowly as she kisses the blade, and then sits back on her ankles, looking up to him. Her eyes are filled with the sadness of the passing days, and within them is a glimmer of innocence within her.
He looks down on you. His demeanor, his facial expression has not changed at all. There's no softening in it. There's nothing. Just this impassive stone face, almost kind of like the face of a gargoyle on the rooftop of a church somewhere. And he slowly lifts up the sword with one hand, and you know this thing must weigh as much as a man, and he lifts it with barely an ounce of effort. And he gently lowers the blade on your shoulder, and when he does, you can clearly feel the weight of it. It almost topples you forward. It's just an act of will to remain sitting as you are on your heels. He slowly moves it and just brings it just up to your neck. Almost enough that you feel the bite of it on your skin. There is ancient magics in this blade. Even Canaanites are not protected from it. Do you feel fear now, Artemisia, or do you feel gratitude?
I feel a deep gratitude that you would allow me to come here to be in your presence, and in hopes that you will offer me the sanctuary that I desire. Families are stronger united. Are they not, Octavius?
True. But sometimes there is a weakness in the blood, and that weakness must be culled. And you feel the blade move ever so gently away from your neck, and you see him tense. Amar, you have managed to scale the outside wall. You have managed to slip by unnoticed by some of the sentries. You had to dispose of one, and his blood was just what you needed to get you going. And now, in the corner of the room, in the shadow, you are certain that he is about to strike. What would you like to do?
Am I behind him?
You are definitely behind him.
Good. I am going to essentially sandwalk my way over and peering kind of around him. I bring a finger to my lips and make eye contact with Lady Artemisia.
She remains still as stone.
And I draw the blade. I come right up to his ear and I say, "Foolish one." And I sink it into his liver.
And as you do that, he moves incredibly quickly, spins the blade around, and is pushing it behind him into you. Let's do a little roll here. Go ahead and roll me your physical. So you're going to roll 1 die plus 1 hunger die, and you're going to add 1 because you have the combat skill.
Okay, so my physical is 7. So I add an additional 3 to that?
Yep, additional. So you have your physical, you add 1 for your combat.
Okay.
And then you roll a d10 and add it to whatever that gives you.
Okay.
You also roll a d10 for your hunger, by the way.
So that's then 9 dice that I'm rolling?
No, you roll 1 die. So you roll 1 die plus a hunger die. That's 2 dice.
Okay.
And to your black die, to your regular die, you add 7 for your physical plus 1 for combat.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
No problem.
It's been 2 months since I've streamed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got an 8 and a 2. So,
all right, so the only dice that matters right now is the regular die, not the hunger die.
Okay, I did not succeed on the hunger die, but I have 7 that I would add.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
Your regular die rolled what?
My regular die rolled a 2.
All right. So you add 7 to that for your physical stat, plus 1 for combat.
So, 10.
Yes. Good. He has rolled a 12. And so as you reach out and try to sink your blade into him, he moves very quickly and spins the blade around and pushes it towards you. You get to make a dodge roll. So again, roll same thing, 2 dice, 1 for hunger, 1 for your regular, and add your physical plus combat.
That's 9.
Excellent. Would you like to activate your fortitude, your toughness?
I probably will need to.
Go ahead and roll a rouse check. So just roll 1d10 and tell me what you get. And each of you got a 9 move from Varl, by the way.
Thank you, Varl. I got a 3.
All right. So you grow in hunger. You now have 2 hunger. So you'll be rolling 2 hunger dice whenever you roll again. Okay. However, the fortitude does kick in, and you will take 2 normal wounds instead of an aggravated wound, as this massive sword pushes into you, and it's so massive and so big that it pushes you away from him and kind of lifts you up in the air. And as he's spinning around, he's still holding you up, with the sword like this, and you find yourself kind of up, and he's like kind of trying to get you to slide down on the blade to do more damage. What would you like to do, Artemisia?
Well, I can't do a whole lot. Let's see. I think she's going to try and knock him forward, maybe to like get him off balance to kind of move forward. So maybe he'll drop the sword down as well. And with that, hoping that Amar can maybe slip off of that sword, because I'd imagine his back is now to Artemisia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How do my night moves work in this? Because I'm definitely gonna need one of those for this. Is it like an extra dice?
No, your night move will basically allow you to get automatically a success. It's a clean success. You can't roll more, but it gives you automatically the success.
Okay, I'm gonna use a night move for this. I will roll just to see if maybe I don't know, magically get a crit. That's a no, so I'm gonna I'm gonna take that night move automatic success because I'm a weak little lady.
All right, can you describe what this looks like, by the way?
I think once he becomes distracted and he swings around, and she sees that blade go through Amar, Artemisia is going to jump back onto her feet and try to leap into the air and like push him by the shoulders to try and knock him off that like central gravity and throw him forward.
Gotcha. And so with the weight of the sword and the weight of Amar on the tip of it, it kind of unbalances him. So when you come in and kind of give him your shoulder and add into it, he stumbles forward, and he doesn't lose the grip on the blade, but his arm folds, and Amar gets to kind of roll off of the blade, and you land in a crouch at your feet. He takes a step back, and then he's going to swing at you, Amar. What would you like to do? Combat will happen kind of simultaneously. So,
I am going to counter in, place both hands on the ground, and kind of like put my weight into my hands, almost in like a half handstand, and shuffle closer into him and take his legs out from under him.
Okay. You can also use night moves as a reminder if you want automatic successes. So you're going to roll you're going to roll 1 die plus your 2 hunger die. Your 2 hunger dice, and you're going to the hunger dice only matter if they roll 1s or 10s.
Okay.
So if they don't roll 1s or 10s, you just ignore them.
I just threw one on the ground. That's what I get for taking a month off of streaming. That is I'm adding my physical plus combat.
That's right.
Again. That's a 9.
All right, excellent. He got a pretty terrible roll. So he's got 3, he's got 7. No, actually, he still gets you. He's got a 10. So as you kind of move in and try to take his legs out.
Okay, I want to use a night move because I want this to be cool.
No problem. So you see that, he's kind of bracing himself. Here's what happens. As you're going for his legs and you start swinging for his leg, you see him spread his legs and redistribute his weight, and you can tell that he is so solidly standing now that your leg's just kind of going to bounce off, and then you're going to be fully open to an attack that he's raising his sword. So how do you want to modify your move with your night move to get something in on him?
As soon as I see him brace, I counter still that same move, like hands on the ground, counter around, but as I do, I am going to fully extend a flexed foot and clock him in the knee and try and dislocate.
All right, excellent. You have, unless I'm mistaken, you have lethal body, and you have...
Yes, I do.
Yeah, all right, so that's going to do 3 damage to him. His armor is going to take 1. As you hit his knee and you feel the bone in there kind of go, and he kind of stumbles a little bit, and you've done some damage to him. He stumbles back a little bit and screams, and you can tell that he wants to scream for help, but at the same time, you can tell that he feels like it would be an embarrassment to him at this juncture to call for help. So instead, he does what you kind of would expect him to do, which is he switches, and instead of looking at you, looks at Artemisia and looks like he's going to move for her next. Artemisia, you get an action.
Yeah, I would like to reach down to my skirts where I know Pest is always kind of clinging inside of there. And I'm going to grab him and whisper, "Go for the eyes," and throw him at Octavius's head. And as I'm throwing Pest, can I sprint in the other direction towards the door
Yes, absolutely.
with the thought of not running out? She wants to lock us in.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So you lob Pest, who immediately starts to scurry and scamper on his fingers and starts climbing the body of Octavius Giovanni. And Octavius doesn't seem to notice at first. He's pretty intent on you. And as you turn and start heading towards the door, you can clearly see, Amar, that he's kind of switching his target from you to her, like he wants to get rid of her first. Something you could do also, not to forget, Amar, is one of your Mortis powers, protection, gives you extra dice in close combat when you are protecting an ally. So what I will allow that to do, if you want to do a rouse check for me, please.
9.
Excellent. So you don't get another hunger as you reach into you and allow your training as a Lamia to sort of take over. And immediately you feel your senses sharpen and you can kind of anticipate things better. So what this is going to do you have a D10 that's a different color?
Yes.
Okay, so you roll that. What I'm going to do for protection is I'm going to give you an advantage on your D10 that you roll in combat.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. So you see him move. You see that he's about to give a massive sword blow to the back of Artemisia. What would you like to do to counter that?
How long is my blade?
Your blade is what's called a harp. So it's like about 3.5 feet, and it's slightly curved at the end. And I can, in fact, do better than that. I can show it to you if you would like. So it is a Greek style sword that has about 3.5 feet of blade and has a slight curve at the tip.
Okay. Then I'm going to change what I was originally going to do, which was going to be to throw it. I am going to stand and sprint and just dead on towards his back, and I'm just going to try and connect with the spine.
Excellent. So roll your attack. Remember to roll advantage on your main dice. So you now have 2 hunger. So you're rolling 2 hunger dice plus 2 regular dice, and you'll take the highest of the 2 regular dice. Your hunger dice only matter if they roll 1 or 10.
Okay, I'm going to roll them separately just for keeping track. Okay, no 1 or a 10 on the hunger dice. And I take the higher of these 2.
Yes.
And add my physical, so that's 12 plus my combat, 13. Yes.
Excellent. He's also got 13.
Ugh,
Do you wish to spend a 9 move to convert?
Yes.
All right. You spend your 9 move as you see at the last second that he will take your hit, but will be able to deliver one. Your hit won't be debilitating enough, and you will be able to hit Artemisia in the back. And so you switch your attack to come in at an angle that's going to impair his arm swing. And as you kind of come up behind him and sort of jump up, he's just this giant man, so you kind of jump up and tug the blade, the sword handle close to you and kind of use your body as extra weight to push it in, and you go right under his arm, and you see the blade come out at the top of his shoulder, and it locks his arm in place so that when he swings at Artemisia, the blade goes completely wild. Artemisia, you reach the door and you lock it. You feel the swish of the blade come right by you, like missing you by about a foot. You feel the weight of it as it kind of slings by. You can tell that the damage is intense. You feel the sword sort of vibrate in your hand, and you almost feel like the best way to here's the exact description I'm going to give you that you're going to understand 100%. You know, in Nosferatu, when we see that first shot of the Count draining the guy, and he's got like that kind of suction kind of feel to it. That's what the blade feels like it's doing in your hands. It feels like it's a living thing that is drinking deep from this Giovanni in front of you, and you can almost not hold on to this blade. And as you feel the blade itself, and you can see the skin around the wound start to turn dark green and black as the blade works its dark magic on Octavius, you, for a moment, are taken back to a few nights ago. You see, as you sit in the study with Artemisia after having helped free her from the cells, you sit in the study, drinking and feeling strength return to your body. You remember moments earlier, or a few hours earlier, the name of Octavius Giovanni echoing through the room as Etria pulls it from the wraith of Abraham after you've slain him. She has summoned him and is pulling his secrets out of him, torturing him, twisting his soul until he reveals the name of Octavius Giovanni, the man who is responsible for the murders of Angelico and Zucala. As she banished the assassin's soul back to the netherworld, she turned to you and was very clear in her instructions. "I will look into the Giovanni matter," she said. "You are to return to your family estate, Lady Artemisia, with your bodyguard. And you are to do nothing and await my orders." As you recall these words, and as you recall the look of uncertainty and confusion on Etria Caligula's face, you hear Artemisia walk into the study. She is carrying in her hand a long bundle wrapped in leathers. You can see that the pain and sorrow of everything that just occurred, seeing her lover's soul torn to pieces in front of her, seeing him used as a weapon against her, is still marred on her face, streaks of bloody tears, having dried but still apparent. Artemisia approaches you and shows you what she is holding. What are you holding, Artemisia?
The tear of Aklis.
Aklis, the mist of death, personification of poisons, misery, and sadness. We are taught about her. She is revered amongst the Lamia.
It was a gift from my sire to his bodyguard, Zuleika. Now it is my gift to you. It is, I am told, especially potent against Canaanites.
Fitting that we should avenge both your sire Angelico and Zuleika with it.
I will not sit idly by as Etria hatches her plans.
Amar reaches up and, with a thumb, wipes away a bit of the bloody tears on her cheek and says, "Let us be as a poison to them, misery and sadness for our enemies."
A smile creeps across Artemisia's face.
The same smile that perhaps creeps across her face now as you both watch the giant, fearsome soul cleaver Octavius Giovanni crumble to his knees. He is pawing at the blade, trying to reach it, trying to pull it out of his body. He has a pallor that comes upon him. His cheeks are beginning to sink in. His eyes are sinking in. His hair is falling out. He is turning into a corpse in front of your very eyes. You see him on his knees try to reach for the door, feebly try to call for help from his men. Artemisia, you watch as all his chained ghosts and wraiths look down upon him, eagerly awaiting his death to be free once more. He reaches out, trying to summon them to his aid. Pest claws at his eyes. He tries to wipe Pest away, but falls. He looks up at you, and then over at Amar. And all of a sudden you see his wraiths and ghosts all exhale, even though they don't breathe, just this feeling of joy and freedom as all of them waste no time in leaving and returning to the warm comforts of oblivion from where they came. And at your feet, the dead body of Octavius Giovanni, the soul cleaver. What do you do?
I think during this time, Artemisia has moved over his body and she looks down on him as the life, those last fragments of life leave his eyes, and she's grinning from ear to ear as she watches this.
I think Amar joins by her side, and as soon as she sees that smile creep across her face, she walks to the other side of Octavius, puts a foot on the side of his head, and as she sees this desiccated corpse in front of her, steps down and crushes his skull into dust.
It offers barely any resistance. Your vampiric strength is more than enough to crush it. By the time you set your foot on it and press down, there's almost no skin or muscle left. Everything turns to dust. The sword in your hand, the tear of Aklis, feels like it's letting out a cruel laugh almost, as it feels sated.
I bend down and take an end of the robes of Octavius and wipe it clean and sheath it.
Perhaps it's time we get some answers.
I would agree.
Storyteller, what is left of this body before us?
Not much. There are certainly bones left. You could pick anyone that you want. The top of the skull has been crushed, but the lower half of the face and the jaw remain there. Down with this into the spine, one of the arms has dislocated a bit from where the sword had severed through the bone. But there is enough there to do what you need to do.
She reaches down into this husk and plucks away a rib, one that she knows would have encased his heart. And as she did before with her father, she bites down on her finger, letting a small trickle of blood release from it, and smears it across this bone. Come face us, you bastard. Octavius, I call upon you. Face us.
The blood from your finger rolls onto the bone, rolls over your father's ring. You feel the gem at the center of it become warm and glow red and brighter. You sense a strength in Octavius. He is a master necromancer, and you can see the spirit wanting to come out of him, wanting to reach out. But he's holding it in. He's fighting it back. His jaw almost looks like it's grinning at you as he's holding back and fighting you and preventing you from pulling him. You realize that for all your power and your experience as a necromancer, that Octavius Giovanni has hundreds of years on you, and he has perhaps protections or a will that is incredibly difficult to overcome. His soul is right there. You see it just at the edge. You feel you need to do something more, something personal, to be able to overcome him.
She looks down. Her face is wrought with disdain for this man. And she spits on what would have been his face. I command you, you coward. Step forward. Atone for your sins.
You see his soul hovering near his body. You see it just at the edge of him. You reach down. You push down the bones of his jaw and grab and pull and pull and pull. Amar, you've never seen Artemisia like this. There is this savage intent, this strength, this sternness, this steel in her movements, in her strength, in her desperation almost, as she wrestles with this spirit and grabs at it and pulls at it and pulls at it almost physically. And then it feels like suddenly the body gives a last gasp. And standing in front of you, gray, pale, translucent, no longer dressed in his armor, but rather in rags and draped with chains, is the soul of Octavius Giovanni. And he stares at you with so much hatred that it makes you almost take a step back before you realize and remember that you're in charge.
She walks forward into him. Am I so weak to you now, Octavius?
This changes nothing. The others will come. They're already here. Your cursed bloodline will be nothing but a feast for the Giovanni. We will drink the last one of you. We will steal your secrets and your powers, and you will cease to be one more stain removed from our good name.
So easily you were blotted out of the world. Now you are just a stain on the pages of history books.
You are nothing without her. Your venomous snake that coils at your command. Your head would have been on a pike had she not been here. Bow to her, bow to this inferior bloodline, for she is clearly your superior.
Is that what you think? We could have not done this without each other. Loyalty, bonds, things I'm not quite sure you understand.
I understand that one day you will die, and when you do, I will be waiting on the other side for you. Now ask your questions. That I spit my answers in your mouth and leave this place.
What are you doing here? What do you plot?
Culling a weakness. Your clan in its entirety will be eradicated. Everywhere across every continent, every country, every kingdom, every palace that harbors one of yours will tremble and fall to dust. We will hunt each and every last Cappadocian, and we will eat all of your souls and your blood, and we will make you our slaves in the afterlife. For that is your true place, subjugated to the might of the bloodline of Augustus Giovanni.
For what purpose? What does this do for you?
Your bloodline is corrupt, twisted, ever since the Last Supper and the treachery of your founding father. Treachery runs in your blood. You know nothing but treachery. You are, and he looks at Amar, a coiled snake, which if left alone and untended to, will eventually strike and bite you. And thus you must die. We will not harbor you.
She spits on him again. You speak of treachery, and you strike down your own family. Disgust me, Octavius.
Perhaps. But by tomorrow night, you and your brother in Etria and every other Cappadocian in Constantinople and in every kingdom across the world will turn to ash. And you will be no more. This is the final sunset for your kind.
You will outline to me your great plans, how you think you'll do this, and I will foil you.
Make me, bitch.
Does she have a way to physically affect him in this state to draw more from him?
Yeah, so what you would do is you would use your intelligence plus occult. And because you have your necromantic powers, that will allow you to affect him, affect his soul. Basically, you're using the powers of your necromancy powers to injure him in his wraith form. So you're going to start by giving me a rouse check.
Okay. What's my my target there?
What's your over under? You want to roll 6 or above.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm a little hungry. Just fine.
That's fine. So you're going to use your power of oblivion. So you're going to roll your mental plus occult, and then you're going to add 3 for your oblivion. You're going against his oblivion also.
Beautiful. Well, my regular die was my best roll, and that was a 9 on the dice, so I think I nailed it.
I'm not so sure because I rolled a 10.
Oh.
So I got a critical. So
wow.
Do you wish to spend a night move?
Of course I do. Fuck this guy.
You reach out and realize he is powerful, and even in wraith form, he is quite capable. And so you realize you have to put a little bit more of yourself, and you think of your father, and you think of all the pain that's come from that. And as you twist and reach out and grab hold of his soul and twist, you eventually get him to explain in broad details the plan, which does include killing each and every last Cappadocian and their entire families tomorrow night throughout the city, using what they have in those crates, which is balefire, to set fire to all their domains. And this includes killing Etria, the monarch, basically, of Constantinople. And you realize that they're doing this across the known world.
Yeah.
It's going to be a night of treachery as the Giovanni turn against all the Cappadocians.
I feel
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like as Amar is hearing this, she's just pacing back and forth like a panther in a cage, watching him.
First question I have, do I know of a way to destroy any of the fetters he has to this world so he can't be summoned back? Like, would destroying his bones kind of like take care of things for the most part?
So basically what you're, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're trying to do is make sure that no one summons him so that he spills on you, right?
Yeah.
So there's no real way to do that because there's too many things. He could have things in freaking Venice, like...
Yeah. He's... But in this room specifically.
But what you could do is, what I would sort of allow you to do is to create a kind of spirit bond to him that would buy you a certain amount of time where you would, for all intents and purposes, put him in a jar and keep him there for, a few nights maybe, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you could buy you a few nights. Go ahead and roll again your occult plus your intelligence without the oblivion this time.
All right, that's a success, but it's on my hunger dice. Can I use another night move?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. You will want to get as much of his body as you can. So perhaps Amar has the strength to grind some of his bones so that it doesn't take too long.
Before I do that, though, she does turn to Amar. Do you have any questions of him before I banish him?
Yes. You say this is happening throughout the known world. It all happens tonight.
Yes.
And you see the rage, like Amar, even in the heat of combat, is not one who is quick to rage. And you see her flush in the face. If she could, it's almost as if the blush of life has come up. And she says, you simply cannot eradicate an entire population and not answer for your crimes, Giovanni. There are people throughout the world who will stop you, who know what justice is.
You can believe that if you want, but if there are no victims left, if there are no bodies, if there is no one to claim injustice, if all of them have disappeared, who will speak for them? Who will claim that we have committed a crime? Who will stand against us?
Oh, don't worry. I will always be there to stand against you, you fucking tyrant.
Your bloodline's a footnote in the history of Cain. Enjoy it while you can. Eventually...
Funny.
Go ahead.
No. Funny. But as I see it now, I'm not the one who's a fucking ghost. And I turn and walk away.
Artemisia has moved to his things to look for a container she can use to place him inside.
You'll find something. There is a kind of a beautiful silver decanter that holds blood that you can.
As a kindred, can I touch that?
Yeah, it's only if you have a specific flaw that you can't.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, you can totally touch it.
She takes that and begins placing the bits of him inside, looking to to Amar. Help me. We must put all of him in there.
Of course. Anything you need.
And so with Amar crushing his bones and what remains of him into fine dust, you fill it. You fill the container that you found with as much as you can of his body. The rest you place in the fireplace and are ready to set it on fire to burn it down. You put a stopper and a few drops of your blood in. You put a few drops of your blood in the decanter and put a stopper on it and whisper your incantation. And as you do, you see that he is trying really hard not to say or scream or do anything. And you finish the necromantic incantation. You see his soul starts to swirl and start to slowly be siphoned into the container. And at the last moment, as he's about to disappear in it, he'll say, "I will be waiting on the other side." And he disappears into the container, and you take wax that you've melted and you seal the container of it, and you know that you have 2 or 3 nights.
This won't hold him for long. We should warn the others.
I agree.
I should find my brother. Let him know. Thank you. You could have ran from all of this, and I wouldn't have blamed you for a second. But you're here. And right now, you're all I have in this world.
I think Amar is at a loss for words. I am at your service, as is my responsibility.
Artemisia steps forward to her, and like she did a few nights ago, she places her forehead to Amar's, her hand slipping behind her neck, holding her there, closing her eyes as she does so. You're so brave to stay here. And strong. I'll never forget that. No matter what happens.
I hope too that you don't forget your own strength, for it is mighty.
You must go warn Etria. Tell her of this, of what's to come. I have little time.
Of course. Anything for you, my lady.
The House of the Dead. Where we first met. Feels like so long ago, doesn't it?
It certainly does. We have lived several lifetimes since then.
That's where we rendezvous.
Very well. Be careful.
You as well.
And Amar mirrors the gesture of Artemisia's hand on her neck. And she just very gently places a kiss on the corner of her mouth and pulls back. I will not fail you.
Nor I you. We are in this together now.
Yes.
And in an act of boldness, being so emboldened this evening by what she has done to Octavius and how she controlled him, there's a new fire lit behind her eyes. And she leans forward and just plants a kiss right on your lips. A blush touches her cheek as she does so. And she smiles again before turning and rushing out that door.
Amar just watches her leave.
You stand there for a moment, aware that any moment guards will be coming to see what's occurred. You, after a moment of reflection, take the sword again, resheath it, and head out the way you came, through the window. You travel across the city on Artemisia's errand to find Etria and warn her of the treachery of the Giovanni. You cross the city heading towards her palace. As you climb, Amar, over the last bit of rampart, you find yourself looking out over a vast, beautiful garden. The moon hangs low over Constantinople, casting a silver veil across its domes and minarets, which rise like silent sentinels against the deep velvet of the night. From the heights of a vast terrace perched upon a palace wall, not quite the Blackernay or the great palace itself perhaps, but close enough as to make little difference, the view stretches out over the ancient city where lanterns flicker along narrow winding streets and the Bosphorus glimmers like a ribbon of starlight. This is no ordinary balcony. It is a hanging garden, a hidden paradise suspended between sky and earth. Wrought iron trellises spiral with blooming night jasmines, their delicate fragrance mingling with the warm scent of cypress and myrtle trees. Roses, pale in the moonlight, climb up alabaster columns, while beds of violets, lavender, and tulips, brought by traders from distant lands, create a painter's dream of color, subdued and dreamlike in the starlit gloom. Olive and fig trees, gnarled and wise, stand in great stone pots, their leaves whispering with each breeze. An ornate fountain carved with Byzantine motifs murmurs softly at the center, its basin filled with water lilies and reflections of the constellations above. Hanging lanterns sway gently from the branches, their glass panes tinted with deep blues and amber, casting dappled light across carved benches and mosaic pathways. The air is warm and still, save for the occasional flutter of a nightingale hidden among the branches, singing sweetly into the dark. To the west, you can see the lit towers and minarets of the Hagia Sophia, glowing faintly in the distance, its silhouette majestic, a relic of empires and faith. At its feet, the city slumbers, yet pulses with quiet life. Near the parapet, you see Etria Caligula, Cainite Empress of the city. Many speak of her madness and horrible deeds, but here, in this quiet garden, she seems at peace and soft, not the portrait of decadence and horror she is often painted. You're certain you spied a shadow walking away from her, but could not make out who or what it was. There are a few guards nearby, but they are at a reasonable distance. What do you do?
I think that Amar is going to play this by the book and approach and announce.
You step out of the shadows, kneel in the light, announcing yourself. Over her shoulder, Etria says, I am told my orders were ignored. You killed Octavius Giovanni without my consent. That is a grave offense, Lamia. Tell me why I should allow you to see another dusk.
My lady, I have come to warn you. The Giovanni plot is not simply against Angelico and Artemisia's family. It is against the entire bloodline. I know this to be true.
And you know this how?
I spoke to Octavius myself, witnessed him. He intends to destroy you all.
That is madness. They could not.
I understand that perhaps you would not think much of a lowly servant who is here simply to protect your bloodline, but let me tell you, I am doing just that. Protecting your bloodline. The Giovanni have a plot, a deep plot. It spans the world over.
When you first came here, I asked you to give me your service. I told you that my child required it. And you spurned me. And you broke into my palace, killed some of my guards. And now you want me to take your word. About some impossible plot by what is an inferior part of my clan, my bloodline.
It is not an inferior part of your bloodline. It is your bloodline. While I understand that you may not necessarily like me, enjoy me, or find my company pleasurable, I'm fulfilling my duty, just as my kind must.
Speaking of your kind, you hear a voice, and you turn to see the Lion, the Nosferatu in charge of the Black Friars. Always with his helmet on, his distorted face never seen. Walks into the light. Let's talk about your kind for a moment, shall we? How many are there left of the Lamias? I hear tell your species that is near extinction. Is that true, or are these just nasty rumors that people tell?
Since you are bent on unpleasantries. I don't feel like I need to dignify that with a response. Bat face.
I just ask because it took a lot of guts or madness to come here with such lies when you know there are so few of you left, and that if you were to not be believed, that certainly it would go bad for you. Was it madness that drove you to this?
You know, it's funny, I find, that they call us the snakes, as if we are some sort of treacherous thing slithering through the grass and wreaking havoc, sowing poison wherever we go, when there are people like you in the world, De Leon.
But I am but a humble servant of God.
Yes, a humble servant of God. Isn't that just the way? You come in, you rape, you pillage, you destroy entire cultures, all in the name of God. Right. And yet I am the snake in the grass. Well, and I glance toward Etria. Who do you believe? A man of God? Or someone bound to serve your bloodline?
You serve Artemisia, not me, and the Blackfriars are bound to me by oath. The events of the last few nights have been confusing, to say the least. If you'll pardon me and allow me, Your Highness, I perhaps have a point I can make that might help you decide. You see, there was a moment in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's life where he found himself, much as you are now, alone, wandering the desert, wondering whether or not he had been abandoned. And lo and behold, through the sands, the burning sands of the dunes, a black snake with green iridescent scales appeared and reared its head, and its fangs gleamed with venom, and tried to sway our Lord, tried to get him to abandon hope, abandon faith. We now know, of course, that the snake was naught but the prince of lies, the devil himself, come to tempt our Lord away from the righteous path. And if there's one thing we've learned from this, that there's only one thing to do with a snake, and that is to cut its head off. And he draws his sword. As you rear back, reaching for yours, you watch as he swings and his sword takes Etria in the neck and bites deep, and his immense strength as a Nosferatu pushes that keen-edged sword all the way through her neck, and before the head has finished rolling off, the ancient creature that was Etria Caligula, mad as ever anyone of the name was, crumples to dust in front of your eyes. Her entire lineage and dynasty in Constantinople come to nothing. And for a moment, Amar, you see reflected in this the destiny of the city itself, and you know for a fact that the city is dead. Now, Snake, and as he says this, you notice more and more of them moving around you. I would cut your head off, but I am told there's very few of you left. And so I believe we will preserve you in aspic, perhaps, in amber, as a relic. And as he finishes these last words, a dozen of his men move on you, You swing your sword, you fight as bravely as you can, you claw, you bite, you use every ounce of your power. You killed 2 of them before the rest have managed to get anywhere close to you. And then you feel it. Through your back. Jutting out through your chest. A long, sharp piece of wood. You feel your body go rigid, almost as if stone, as if you were the one now staring into the Gorgon's eyes, rather than the Gorgon herself. You fall stiffly to the ground. Unable to move, your mind racing, aware of everything. The Blackfriars move away from you. De Leon comes over, takes a knee next to you and leans on his sword. From up close, you can see part of his jaw and his neck under his armor, and it's old and rotted, and you see bone peeking through it, and there's this stench of death that just rolls off of him. Etria never knew when to heed good counsel. As for you, Lamia, you're simply on the wrong side of the family. The Giovanni pay much, much better, and are much more pious and devout than the Cappadocians ever were. What is going through your mind, Amar, as you lay there incapacitated, unable to move?
The word traitor just over and over as a scream in her ears. While she never took to Etria Caligula, she knows that this equals ruin for all of us. And as these thoughts are swirling and the visions of fighting the Blackfriars and Delion's face inches from hers and the cacophony of the city surrounding her, all the noise stops when she just visualizes Artemisia's face, her head pressed against her forehead, and the sweet smile that crept across her face, the smile that she saw for the very first time. A woman who was in perpetual mourning, suddenly smiling, and suddenly taking a chance on someone like Amar. And she thinks of that and sees Artemisia's face vanish like ash in the wind, and realize that whatever chance she had may now be lost.
De Leon stands up, looks to his men. Octavius is dead, but the Giovanni family remains steadfast in their desires to see the Cappadocians wiped from existence. Spread the word. Kill them all. And get this one out of my sight. And with that, he walks away, his metal feet clanging on the stone floor. The soldiers grab you and move you very carefully to not disturb the stake. And you are taken down into the catacombs of the palace and shut away in a room where there is no light, and only the face of Artemisia remains to keep you company. Artemisia. The Cardinelli family home stands like a shadow stitched into the very fabric of Constantinople, nestled in a quiet quarter near the Theodosian walls. The manor is a relic older than the Empire itself if rumors are to be believed. Some say its foundations were laid in Roman times, others that it was built atop ancient catacombs carved into the bones of the earth by hands long turned to dust. By moonlight, the Cardinelli Manor seems less a house and more a wound in the landscape. Its stones dark with age, its walls veined with ivy like veins on a corpse. Blackened marble columns, chipped and leaning, guard the entrance. The great iron gate is cold to the touch, engraved with symbols whose meaning have long since passed from mortal memory, sigils of binding, of summoning, of protection. Inside, the silence is vast and oppressive, like the silence of cathedrals or sepulchres. Dust drapes the furniture like shrouds, yet the luxury beneath is unmistakable. Velvet upholstery, gilded mirrors, and Persian rugs, all faded but exquisite, hint at a once glorious opulence. Portraits line the walls, their subjects pale and elegant, their eyes seeming to follow you too closely. Faces that never age. Here and there candles burn without flames, casting a cold silvery light that does not flicker, illuminating arched corridors and vaulted ceilings painted with scenes of angelic ruin and celestial sorrow. In the vast salon, a harpsichord sits untouched, yet one might almost swear it had just been played. A single glass of dark red wine laced with blood rests undisturbed on the table of obsidian, the only clue that Dario is here. You know that beneath your feet lie catacombs that wind down into the belly of the earth. It is said the Cardinellis came from Cappadocia, born of rock and blood, and brought their rites with them. Necromantic ritual, blood sorceries, covenants with the dead. Down there, you know, the air smells of iron and myrrh, and the stones are slick with something that never quite dries. But now the house is empty. The silence holds, the shape of voices long gone. Shadows move where no light should fall. It occurs to you that you and your brother Dario are the last of the Cardinellis, and already it feels as if you have ceased to exist. Whatever has brought the Giovanni to your doors now, only the full measure of your blood will satisfy them. And you expect your souls, once cleaved from your bodies, will not fare much better. You find your brother in the library, carefully selecting and packing specific books. But before we get to that, actually, what is Artemisia's frame of mind? What is going through her head as she steps to this hall that has been her home for so long, once filled with people, with comings and goings, and now empty?
There's a great hollowness inside her heart. Void. She mourns her father. She looks to the ring on her hand and she touches it, caresses the emblem there, the gem with her father's blood inside of it. She mourns leaving yet another home that has become a tomb where only memories can live now. But somewhere inside of her, through all of this sadness, there's a glimmer of hope that lives. Hope that perhaps this will bring her and her brother closer than they've ever been in their lives, that through all of this sadness, they will finally meet on a common ground. Hope in the knowledge that Amar is out there telling the others this wondrous new friend she's made so quickly. And she clings to that hope with every ounce of her being. It is the light in the darkness.
When you find your brother, in the library, which is a cathedral of parchments and leather-bound grimoires, their titles in Latin, Greek, and older tongues that bleed when read aloud. There are skulls, both human and otherwise, peering from high shelves. The hearth has long gone cold, but the room remains unnaturally warm, as if something unseen still lingered near the fireplace. He is carefully selecting and packing specific books, and as you arrive, he looks up and goes, "What happened? What did you do?"
Octavius is dead.
"Who killed him?"
Amar.
"Octavius Giovanni dead. Where is Amar now?"
Off. Warning Etria of what's to come tonight.
And as you say this, you see something come across your brother's face. You realize that he was perhaps trying to lie to you, but he's having difficulty doing it.
Do you know something? Something I do not.
Sister, I'm dreadfully sorry.
She moves closer to him. She puts her hands over his. Why do you apologize to me? What is wrong, brother?
I tried to lie to you just then to spare your feelings, but I was never able to. Word came moments ago. Amar has been killed by the Blackfriars.
No.
She reached Etria, tried to convince her of the plot you've uncovered. But Etria didn't believe her and ordered her men, the Blackfriars, to... There were too many of them.
No. She releases his hands and takes a few steps backwards. No, this... Amar is strong. Amar is clever, and she possesses a strength that I have not seen before. This could not have happened. Etria would not have done that. Etria knows. Etria saw what we saw with Abraham.
And he looks over, and you see that he's looking at one of the tables in the room.
She follows his line of sight.
There on the table is the Tear of Aklis, the sword that you gave Amar.
This cannot be.
I'm sorry.
She rushes towards it and picks it up.
You pick
In
it
her
up and
mind,
you
it's
see blood all over it.
She wants nothing more than this to be a fake, but when she touches it, when she sees it, no. This cannot be.
Sister, our duties to the family now, this is bigger than you or I, and bigger than Amar was. For all we know, Etria's in league with De Giovanni. We know how insane she is.
But she is my family.
I get that you're hurting. I saw how close the two of you became so quickly. But denying the truth of it will not help you or I to survive. The people who depend on us, our servants, the people who are we are beholden to. The Giovanni are coming for us all. They are coming and they cannot be stopped. Mourn, Amar, as you must. And many of our boats are ready to sail. We must escape back to England, where the Giovanni hold little sway. She was a bodyguard, and she did her job.
She was more than that. She was so much more than that. But you could never understand something like that. She was my friend. Perhaps duty led her here. But that's not what it was in the end. It was something so much more. She did not have to do what she did for me. So many times I told her that she could leave, but yet she stayed.
She did. She did do what she had to do. That was her duty. That was her entire purpose. From the moment she was chosen and embraced, her entire purpose in life was to protect one of us, to die for one of us. And that is exactly what she did. And now, because she did what she was supposed to, you get to live and you get to walk away from this entire situation. You get to escape. Do not make her sacrifice for naught. If the Giovanni come and find us here, they will kill you, they will rip your soul out of your body, and they will enslave you for the rest of your existence. And then Amar's sacrifice will have been for naught. Honor her memory, honor her sacrifice. She was a Lamia. She did what she was bred to do. Now you must live to honor that.
Of course I will honor her. As a friend. As someone that I loved. And someone who cared for me.
You count yourself lucky that you
disgrace her by saying it was just duty. Using the word bread. Disgusting.
Fine.
In my presence, you will honor her as well. Do not disgrace her name. Do not speak of her in these sterile terms.
As you wish. But you have to come with me now. We have to go. They're coming before sunup. You have a few minutes to gather what means the most to you. The boats await. Carry Amar in your heart. Carry her memory with you. Like carry her on the boat that takes you to safety in Europe.
Very well.
And he turns and continues to pack, and you are left to see to your own things. There's so little time. So much that you want to take, but in the end, the only thing that seems worth taking is the memory of Amar.
Would she have time to go to her crypt?
Sure.
She would do this. In her crypt, she would look at her jars, fetters, and knowing that she cannot take all these things with her, knowing there is little time, she would release them one by one. And when she finishes this, there is only one thing she takes with her. A small game set left on a table by the fire. A gift from Amar that she had taught her. She tucks that away with the blade, the tear of Aklis, and she will return to her brother then.
Amar. It is dark. Time seems still. Nothing is happening. There's no sound. You are a prisoner in your own body. And then light cuts through the dark. You hear the sound of a heavy door being opened, keys jangling. What are you thinking as this is occurring?
That it's very cruel that this should be the end, and why they are such cowards so as not to kill me from the jump.
You feel hands grab your shoulder with a sharp, rending feel of pain. You feel the stake pulled out through the back. Are you okay, Mistress Eldin?
No, I'm not fucking okay.
Good. You look into the face of Decimus Fulgio, the shadows of the room playing around on his face. We do not have a lot of time. The Blackfriars are occupied.
What are you doing here, Shadow Walker?
I am paying one last homage to someone I loved very dearly before I can fully comprehend that they have betrayed me. And you. Artemisia has left her and her brother. They have abandoned us. And the Blackfriars will look for us anytime now.
That's not possible.
As we speak, they are on boats headed for Europe.
You lie!
Blood is blood. The family has always stuck together. I am not saying that it did not hurt her to abandon you, but abandon you she has, just as she has abandoned me.
I do not believe you. I will see it for myself. I start making my way out.
He follows without making much of a fuss. The two of you, between your abilities with stealth and his abilities with shadow, manage to slip through a castle that has been largely abandoned. You come across a few remaining guards. The Blackfriars are gone. It is clear that things are already on the move. You can hear the bells warning of fires throughout the city. You can see almost on the horizon as you step out of the castle the red of the flames and the fires that are raging now through Constantinople as the Giovannis are hunting and killing the Cappadocians in the city. You head where? What do you do?
Amar surveys the scene and says, Caligula's pride is our undoing. And I just head for the rendezvous.
You remember the House of the Dead, the first time you met Artemisia. You look back and don't remember feeling anything special about her in that first meeting. She seemed so shy and withdrawn, and you perhaps thought that this would be a boring assignment. Someone like her could certainly not find herself the target of anyone's ire, but how things have changed. You remember walking the garden with her that first night, and it was here amidst the jasmine and the pomegranate trees that you first got a glimpse of the real Artemisia, of her depth, of her pale beauty, of what she could possibly mean, but never would you have dared imagine. You stand around this garden with Decimus, who seems very unnerved and keeps double checking to make sure no one is coming, and he seems to be afraid. What's going through your mind as you walk through this garden and take its beauty, and beauty that now has a much more sorrowful meaning than the first time you were here?
She's here. She has to be here. She told me to wait for her, to meet her. She will be here.
Lady Eldin, Cappadocian blood is old and strong. There is much treachery in it. Their founder once summoned all of his progeny to him and had most of them killed. It's embedded in their blood. Little else means more to them than the blood. I also feel the betrayal. I've spent decades loyally serving her, loving her, even though I would never have admitted it. I believe we had the wool pulled over our eyes. How did Dario know of the Giovanni plot to begin with? How is it that he and his sister managed to escape when even Etria, the matriarch of Constantinople, did not? It's painful to think about that we were all pawns in some grander design, but the truth always has a special kind of pain to it.
You may think you know her, but you do not know her.
You do? What do you know of her that I don't?
A great many things. Her heart, her passions, what makes her laugh. how bad she is at picking up games. But how delightfully curious she is. How she is truly dedicated to those that she loves. Devoted. Unwavering.
And yet she sails away. And the two of us are left here, soon to be at the mercy of the Black Friars of the Giovanni.
Shut your mouth.
The truth is no less the truth because we refuse to see it.
She stares out at the harbor and the flames.
You see a great number of sails moving in the harbor, ships leaving the city. The sun will be upon us soon. I have a way out of the city. I can take us somewhere safe where we can take some time to think about our next steps. Lady Eldin, I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you.
And what next steps are those?
Constantinople was the greatest city in the world, the center of the world. But its time is gone. There is little else but death and ashes and rubble for it now. But out there is a vast world, much of it still unconquered, much of it filled with mysteries. Constantinople is but a microcosm of it. There are things left to see and experience and know. Plenty more pleasures and plenty more heartbreak. But for now, these walls, these ramparts are a prison, and we must escape it. What comes after can come after.
You know nothing of what it feels like to have something be the center of your universe. She turns and walks away.
Though you don't hear it, as you walk away, he whispers under his breath, "Don't I?" As you follow Decimus through underground tunnels, Artemisia, you're waiting on the boat. They are holding the boat. Dario is trying to placate the captain. Most of the other boats with the rest of your family and all your belongings have sailed. Yet you look certain you might see her come running down the gangplank. Dario's voice jars you out of your contemplations. The sun, sister. It comes.
Yes, it does.
I am sorry I have not been as tender to you as I should have been, and I've not appreciated your relationship with Amar as I should have. I am dreadfully sorry that you lost her. We will find safety, we will hide. We will reach out to the others of our blood that still remain, for others certainly will remain, and we will hide, and when the time is right, we will strike back at the Giovanni. We will take from them everything they've taken from us. And when we do, surely you will be able to find the soul of your beloved Amar.
I will not let her death be in vain.
The Giovanni will pay for their treachery, sister. Now or 100 years from now. They will pay. The sun is coming. There is nothing left in this city but ashes. We should head below.
She lets her eyes linger on the coast. Just a few more seconds. Hoping that it's not true. That maybe this is a nightmare. Perhaps it's all been a nightmare. But she knows better. And she looks to the horizon, her face once more streaked in tears of blood, and whispers into the wind, "I will not let your death be in vain," and turns to join her brother in the ship, clutching in her arms that game, precious to her, more precious than any possession she's ever had.
Atop a nearby cliff, Amar, a few moments before dawn, you and Decimus exit through ancient abandoned tunnels. The wind whispers the word, death. And you watch in the harbor as dozens of sails come and go, ships carrying their precious cargo, some cargo more precious than others, perhaps. Unsure whether you have been betrayed or not, but Decimus says, "Take a moment if you must, but we have yet a while to go before we can get to safety, and the sun will be up shortly. We cannot waste too much time."
Amar pauses for a moment. Deep in the recesses of her mind, she has a thought of, what if I just stood here and watched the sea until the sun rose? What then? And she shakes herself out of it and says, "Very well." She looks back at the water and says, "I will find you."
The word cleave is a rare homonym, a word with two meanings. It can be used to mean a separation, a splitting, or dividing of two things or of a thing in two. It can also mean the opposite, to cling, to adhere to something or someone. The meaning lies in the context, and too often the context only becomes clear further down the line after all is said and done. And there are still many years, decades, centuries to go before we get the full measure of the context in this story. It would be nearly 200 years before Amar and Artemisia met again, this time in London. By then, the landscape had changed. with the Camarilla burgeoning. But that is a tale for another time.